session. We're gonna bring it on board here. Jason's gonna present our FY26 budget. Work sessions, just to remind everybody, it's just, we were presented data, it's non-voting. He's gonna go over all these wonderful numbers. I'm glad we have somebody that likes to do that. Some people do, some people don't. I work with numbers, high numbers all day long, so I'm in a little bit of that corner, but not as deep as you are, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, sir.
Chris, can you pull up the presentation? Okay. So we're going to talk about the fiscal year 2026 budget. And this year we're going to do a little bit different as far as the presentation of it. Everybody got the budget in their packet. But what I'm going to do is cover some very top level items like the cash inflows and outflows to help y'all better understand where our funds are actually coming from. So, next slide. So we're going to cover sales revenue for cash inflows, miscellaneous revenue, financing activities, investing activities, capital contributions. Now on the cash outflows, we're going to cover the expenses, financing activities, investing activities, and capital assets. Next slide. Here's some key terms, some information that'll help when you go through this. So the sales revenue, which is income generated from our everyday business practice. Miscellaneous revenue is income from the activities outside of our business operations. Expenses are just the costs that are incurred through our normal business activities. Financing activities are transactions related to the funding of our business through debt, through loans. Investing activities, we are considering that carryover funds from the previous year that we did not use and investment of cash in our reserves. Capital assets are acquisition of any property, any item that we need to operate our business. And then capital contributions are if we have a subdivision that we're developing or any kind of development and we require a contribution to aid in the construction of that. Next slide. So for the electric system, I can't read the numbers from here, but I'll tell you the numbers. So the sales revenue, but I'm trying to read it off the actual pie graph, and it's not going to work.
Financing activities, 3.73%. Cash flow, 4% is 1.45%. Capital contribution, 0.28%. Sales revenue, 90.04%.
Lower your glasses.
Yeah, I may need those. Okay, so with I can see a little bit of it. So for the sales revenue, the cash inflows, about 90% of our cash inflows are coming from our sales, our business operations. So about 4.5% are coming from miscellaneous revenues. There's no expenses in the cash inflows. Financing activities, that $1.4 million, that'll be the loan to help fund our AMI conversion. And then capital asset or investing activities, that's funds that we are putting back into our cash reserves and actually pulling out of cash reserves. And then capital contributions are funds that we expect to receive for developments.
Is your investment activities, is it in any type of investment, or are you restricted to what you can invest that in?
We do have a little bit of leeway there, but we tend to stay with the local government investment pool. They have a pretty good rate, and most of our funds are there. Besides at local banks, we do have funds at most of the local banks, either through our customer payment account or an account we've established, depending on rates.
Are those like CDs?
Money markets most of the time with a negotiated rate.
Okay. Are they FDIC backed, or are they just?
Yes, and they also have, I think it's through the state. It's a local government backing for some banks do offer that. And that's the ones, if we were going to move money from LGIP to that local bank, we would want to make sure that they have that additional backing by the state.
So what's a average interest rate of return?
Right now, around 5%. I think it's in your packet for the investment
I'm sorry.
rate.
Yeah.
I think it's actually in the back in our investment
Cool.
report. I think it's around 5%.
Jason, the capital contributions, could you explain that one more time, please?
So capital contributions are if we're developing a subdivision or any kind of large development, that would be the aid in capital that we would require to build that, which would be infrastructure.
The developer would put that.
Yes.
in there.
So what that does, it doesn't really, it's not necessarily income because it's not part of our operations. It's more of a, we'll do this, but we need you to pay this part to fund part of the construction.
And then you, yeah, it's kind of,
So we have to account for it a little differently.
okay.
Could you give an example of miscellaneous revenue?
Miscellaneous revenue would be connect fees, where people turn on and off.
Gotcha.
Let's see, interest income. You know,
Okay,
well, I
from
actually put
our
that down in
investments.
investing activities. Yeah, I did put that there.
Okay.
Normally it would be considered there, but for this presentation, I wanted to separate that out so we could really see.
Right.
But yeah, it's just odds
Okay.
and ends stuff. It's not selling power
That's that.
necessarily. Any more questions? All right, next slide. So our cash outflows. Expenses for our cash outflows, that's the amount that's going out. Our expenses are making up about 89% of that, 89.6. And financing activity, that's principal payments. And because the expense of interest shows up in the expense section. And then capital asset or investing activities, we're putting about 55,000 back, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we have different funds set up to help us later on when we have to buy computer equipment, a vehicle, anything like that. So when we feel like we're doing well, we try to put money back to fund later on capital assets. And then the capital assets, we've got 2.87 million, which is 7.64% of our cash outflows. And that'll be your large items like transformers, it'll be the AMI project, all that should be hitting the system at that point. All right, next slide. So for the water system, it's going to be very similar. The sales revenue makes up about 81% of the cash inflows. Miscellaneous revenue for that would be similar. I think they split the customer connect fee. So those are split between the two systems. And then you've got investing activities, and that'll be where we're pulling funds from our reserves. And then capital contributions, which is, we're expecting about 60,000 in developments for aid from contractors and whatnot. Any questions? All right, next slide. So the cash outflows. So roughly 80%, almost 81% of our cash that goes out is for expenses, our everyday operating expenses. And then we've got our investing activities, which is where we're paying the loans that we may have, which on that one, I don't think we have one yet. I don't think we're gonna have one for that. And then capital assets, that's large purchases. That's the East Lincoln project. I believe when that hits the system, it'll be roughly around $1 million, so that's what that is.
Jason, could you go back one?
Yeah. Can you go back, Chris?
Okay, it's fine, thank you.
Okay, all right. Any questions with this one?
Oh, since she asked to go back, I would state one thing. Chris, go back one slide. The $850,000 that he's talking about pulling out of reserves, that's a carryover from a grant. So it's not that we need $850,000 to make the balance of the budget. It was a grant that we got that we're carrying over.
Yes, it was for the East Lincoln project. It was funds we'd allocated the previous year. All right, next slide. Next slide. All right, for our wastewater system. So our sales revenue is roughly 86% of our cash inflows. Miscellaneous revenue, which will be connect fees, taps, items like that, that's roughly 8%. And then we've got investing activities, which is about 185,000, which is your interest on the amounts that we have in reserves. And then our capital contributions, we're expecting about 100,000 as far as developments go for aid.
The revenue for wastewater, what, I thought it was like, is it 50% of the water or 25%? How do you charge for that?
So we use the water consumption to calculate that, unless it's a flat sewer charge. But it's roughly, would you say, Alan, 1.5%?
It's close
I mean,
to that.
1.5 times
Yeah, 1.5 times your water
Yep.
bill.
is about what it is.
So
But it's
50
not really a formula.
Yeah.
You are charged by your per gallon usage of water. But it's not as easy to say that it's 1.5%, but it's close.
Or 1.5 times.
Yeah.
1.5.
1.5 times.
That's what it averages.
50%.
Higher, yes.
Okay, 50% of the water bill.
50% over. So 150%.
Okay. Figuring that out. Because it looks small compared to what your expense is for or the money taken in of your water sales.
Well, if you go back, can you go back 2 slides, Chris, to the cash inflows for water? So it's going to be very close.
I was confused with
I got you.
I got one of the other slides.
You got the cash out. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So
Gotcha.
let's
That, I understand it.
okay. Let's go to the wastewater cash inflows. Thank you, Chris. So the capital contributions, that's where I left off at. Any questions with that? Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So cash outflows. So our expenses are going to make up roughly 78% of what cash we have going out. And then we've got financing activities, which we have recently almost finished our sewer force main on Avoca Road. So that loan will become active and we'll have to start making principal payments on that. So that would show up there. And then investing activities, I believe that is interest. I believe that's carryover. Is that a carryover? I think it's carryover. And then capital assets, that's when we finished Avoca Road force main. That's stuff like that. So large items. All right, any questions?
Where does the income from the waste we take care of from Bonnaroo?
It shows up in miscellaneous.
Okay.
So if you go back one, you should see that there.
And miscellaneous revenue for wastewater?
Yep.
Okay. So it's
So it
part
shows
of
up.
459,000.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Next slide. Yep. So for our fiber system, the cash inflows, we've got roughly 86% of our cash inflow is coming from sales revenue, and then roughly 6% is coming from miscellaneous revenue. And then our investing activities, that is basically our interest on what we have in reserves and money that we carried over that we may not have spent the year before. And that's roughly 7.4%. All right, next slide. And our fiber system cash outflows, we're roughly looking at 76% of the cash outflows are everyday expenses. And then we've got financing activities, which that loan will be paid off at the end of this year, I believe. And then we've got our investing activities, which is going to be that's carryovers. And then we've got capital assets, which is we've got 2 large projects for fiber that we're looking at to improve our system. Any questions? Okay, next slide. So that's what I wanted to cover instead of going line by line with the actual budget items, but I am here to answer any questions you have specifically.
So I take it the fiscal year is July 1st?
Yes.
Because I'm saying 26, so it's 25, 26.
Yes.
This will be FY 26, that y'all are voting on.
The EV charging station is strictly a community service, correct?
No.
We get no return, do we?
Well,
Because I don't see it.
the answer is, we will not make money on that. We charge for that, but the EV charger the cost will be tough to recuperate. We got a grant from the state to pay for that.
Okay.
And any money that we could possibly make has to be reinvested in the EV charger for 5 years.
And we're not in the positive on that, so we do not have to worry about investing anything in that right now.
But we do offer the cheapest fast charger rate in the city, at 40 cents a kilowatt hour.
Who else has fast chargers? Anybody?
Statement and a half.
But we didn't have any outflow of money, it was grant money.
It was 80-20.
We only had 20% investment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And labor, could count towards that 20%.
Can you ask about specific items here?
Yes.
Ready for that?
Yep.
1.1610, electrical expenses. Service center improvement. That's a huge numbers here, but we're only proposing for $20,000. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the reason we're only proposing $20,000 for FY '26 is we're working now with a engineering and design firm. They came in, looked at our entire building, and are gonna propose a plan, a grand plan, if you will, to remodel and maybe do some additional work to the building. So we're not going to ask to put a lot of money into this building, knowing that we will be coming back within a year, with a proposal for a grander plan.
Okay. And the 224 was for previous,
That was the
previous
paving.
That was
enhancement we did on
paving.
the front side.
We did paving in the back here, the pole yard.
Okay,
Yeah, that covered that.
gotcha.
What, in lieu of taxes, who do you pay that to?
The city of Tullahoma.
You get it. That's your money.
Appreciate it. Let me tell you.
Where does the money that we're giving in the scholarships, to the high school students, where does that come out of?
It comes out of our fiber, and I believe it's advertising, or I think it's in that general area, miscellaneous advertising expense.
That will be all, fiber department dollars.
That's where we're most profitable.
True.
That's 25,000.
Where's your D&O insurance? Is that under your errors and omission? Directors and officers?
Yes.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
To share with you, we're in the process of discussing with the city, because there have been some lawsuits where individuals were being valued and our limits were exceeded on our insurance. Won't go into details because it's.
Ongoing. Ongoing.
Well, it's ongoing but what caught my eye is the fact that it exceeded our limits, and my question to the city was, and especially if you're a person named in it, where's the city's responsibility to us for serving on the board?
Right.
And it hasn't been answered.
Makes sense. But you answered it.
Same question I may be asking now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Jason? Thank
None?
you.
All right.
That was well done, by the way. Summarize over.
I would point out one thing I don't know if Chris can bring the slides back up, but on the electric department, paid by others, it's
That's up
That, in the electric department, most of the time, that money is returned to the developer as people move in. We give that in the form of rebates. In the water and wastewater department, it is not. So, it counts, well, it doesn't count towards income, but it's earmarked into a separate account.
Yeah, so the funds actually, they they go into the work order, and when the project is completed, those funds reduce the value of that project. But what happens is later on, we have miscellaneous like advertising expense that we use to pay those incentives out. So it reduces our depreciation, but it also, you know, at some point, we're gonna have those funds come out that we have for those incentives. So it hits more of a, like an advertising type expense, miscellaneous, administrative.
So, I know one of the conversations when I first started on the board was the street patching and having to do a new process, and that was gonna be really expensive, and I did notice that it was an increase, in amount. It didn't seem crazy, but what, I don't know, I guess just a comment on that, if that's been a problem, if there's any, working with the city.
The city established new rules.
Right.
I remember last year.
Right.
Earlier last year, that brought up the cost, our cost.
Yeah, we pay, is it $200 a permit?
That's the permit fee,
Yeah,
yes.
so the permit fee is $200, and we purchase a permit, anytime we cut a road, the water pipe burst into the road. Dale's got a list, and, we pay that quarterly, I believe. And we have funds, not only for the permit in the budget, but also, for the repairs are more
Right.
expensive because of the way they're requiring the roads to be repaired now.
And that's what went up, is the.
Yeah,
cost
it
of-
did,
higher
yeah,
cost of repair.
it did go up, yeah, definitely. I just noticed that, we discussed that at one point.
Yep.
Any other?
Anything else?
Huh?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We have a little bit of time, because we have new employees coming that are not here yet, so
They're here.
they're here. If y'all wanna get a,
They're in the green room.
Water.
if y'all wanna get a quick drink or whatever, a couple of 3 minutes before we push right on. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Tullahoma Utilities Authority, April 22nd, 2025. This meeting is now in order. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is approve previous meeting minutes. Entertain a motion there.
So moved.
Second.
Is that a proper motion and second? Any discussion in the meeting minutes? Everybody's happy with those? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes unanimously as well. We have any customer comments on the agenda items? Seeing none, we're gonna push into recognition. We got a couple of new employees here. Ricky Tucker, Customer Solutions Manager. Welcome. You get to take the, did they prep you for this?
Yeah. Yes.
Tell us all about yourself.
My name is Ricky Tucker. I've lived here in Tullahoma for 12 years, grew up in Lynchburg, have 3 young children, all in Tullahoma City Schools. This is my 5th week here at TUA, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and I'm excited to continue to grow.
Well, welcome. We're
Yes,
glad
thank
to have you on board.
You don't get a picture? I thought we always.
Yeah, we always get a
What's
picture.
the deal with the picture today?
Shannon?
Thank you.
I always demand a picture.
Huh?
So,
Go right ahead.
I just would like to state some words that Ricky may have missed. She comes to us from a local bank, so she's very good and has a lot of experience in customer service, relationships, and she's been through a software conversion or two, which we're right in the middle of here. And this is meeting 2 of our strategic initiatives, is planning for the future of upcoming retirements and improving customer experience. So she checks 2 of those boxes, and we're very excited for her to be here.
Welcome, welcome. Next new employee on the list is Haley Reese. This young lady I've known a long time.
It was 3rd grade.
Get up.
Third grade.
All right.
Wow.
You can know.
I am.
She's a lot.
I've earned these gray hairs.
Well, hi everybody, I'm Haley Reese. It's so nice to meet you all. I'm the newest environmental engineer here at TUA, just started last week. I'm a graduate of Middle Tennessee State University and Southern Methodist University, brand new to the world of environmental engineering. So I'm very excited to learn and grow, and I feel like this is a great place to foster that growth and development. And I'm just really honored to be here.
We're glad to have you. We hope you'll be here till you have as much gray hair as me.
Thank you.
Dale, you want to say anything, or Alan?
Well, of course, you don't have to ask. I would just point out that this is again succession planning. Dale was promoted when Scott retired, so we're backfilling his spot, and then Dale's going to be here for 5 more years. So.
He said no.
So we're getting an early start on preparing for that.
That's a good deal. Thank
You said
y'all.
it's a new world for you, environmental engineering.
Yes, so I actually came from a world, so I started at Jack Daniel's Quality Control. I really wanted to get into the environmental side. I've got a bachelor's in chemistry and a master's in biology, and I wanted to get into originally remediation type work. But then I left Jack Daniel's and went to Arnold Air Force Base, where I was a environmental health and safety manager. And once I graduated in December with my environmental engineering degree, this opportunity presented itself. So I feel like it's all kind of led me to this position. So.
Great move.
Great
Awesome.
move.
Great move.
Great move, both of you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll push on. We're gonna go to specific agenda action items. First one on the agenda is consider approval of the wastewater customer charge increase. Need to get a motion on the floor in a second, and we'll discuss.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion about this? I'm gonna turn it over to
So there's two main drivers behind this request. One, the budget, but two, and probably most importantly, the reason we're asking for this customer charge rate increase this year is because our budget is approved and, by the Tennessee Comptroller's Office. And if you do not show a balanced and positive net income budget every year, you are subject to their probation, which we have found ourselves on, 2 years ago. So that is the main driver of requesting this rate increase this year. The second thing I would point out is what a customer charge is for. You know, it's for really administrative fees, maintaining the system, billing, things that you have to do regardless of wastewater usage and treatment. So I'm requesting a $2 customer increase on residential and $4 on commercial is the request.
And that's $2 monthly.
$2 monthly. Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, gotcha.
I would also point out, and this is, like I said, not the reason for the increase, but with the increase, we still will have the lowest customer charge of our neighboring utilities.
How long has it been since we increased our customer charge?
I think 2023, we did a slight increase. I think. It was 2022 or 23 we did do one. July 1st.
For wastewater?
For water and wastewater.
Just sort of to keep the state off our back.
Yes,
Really.
that's the main driver.
All right. So, we've got a proper motion and a second about increasing customer charge. Any other discussion or questions? Patty?
I'm sorry.
I
Steve.
just wanted, so the chart, I found was really interesting that even, like Ellen said, even with the increase, we're still significantly lower than, two of the other surrounding communities. So all of them were lower than, and we're still significantly lower. So I think that's, that really is a testament to how well, our management is doing.
Good point. The three cities that are nearest to us, they range from a 30% to a 120% more greater charge than we're going to charge. So we're still low. Anyway.
Mr. Tillman, you got a question?
I found my answer.
Good deal. Anything else? All in favor of this increase, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Next item is consider approval extending the janitorial service contract. Entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I recommend that the board approve extending the janitorial contract throughout 60 clean for FY '26 in the amount not to exceed $66,660.
Any seconds there?
Second.
Got a second, proper motion, a second. Mr. Allen, tell us about this.
So policy allows for us to renew a contract up to 2 years with up to a 5% increase. They are not getting a 5% increase. They agreed to maintain their current contract cost. So I do recommend approving, moving forward with 360 clean.
Where do they clean?
They clean the entire.
This office?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And their performance has been good.
They're not getting a 5% increase in pay.
It's the same amount that was.
But nonetheless, the
initial.
performance is still.
It's average.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Well, it equates to the raise then.
Yes, yes.
Let me ask you this, did you go out and pursue, since it's average, any other
We did not,
services?
because internally we're considering other ideals.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
Stay average.
Hearing or seeing none, all in favor of approving them for this, cleaning the the janitorial service contract. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Next up is consider approval of FY '25 write-offs. Can I get a motion, please?
I so move, Mr. Chairman, we approve the $52,066.33 in bad debt across electric, water, wastewater, and fire departments for the previous 12 months.
Get a second, please.
Second.
All right, we've got a proper motion and a second. Jason, would you tell us about these write-offs?
So these write-offs here are utility billing. These are accounts that we do not feel like we can collect. But what we do when we do write them off, we keep them on the system. So if they do come back to us, we do recoup that. And as you can see down at the bottom, we collected over $20,000, which would be over the last several years of bad debt. So that's really not a significant amount. The light tube billing, it's the same way. We carry that balance, so if they come back to us, they would pay that. And then our miscellaneous AR, that is like damages we receive. If we get a hit and run, somebody hits a fire hydrant, light pole, and they leave, that's stuff that we end up having to bill to unknown driver, and we end up having to write that off. And some of them are people that don't live on the system, so it's very hard for us to collect.
Just a question, are the biggest percent of the utility write-offs, are they residential or the commercial?
Yes, they're residential.
Residential, okay.
Is that primarily people who skip town or something on
Yes,
that line?
so if they leave, it's hard for us to collect.
Yeah, sure.
But now when they come back, we have stuff set up in place to identify that. And at that point, to reconnect, we require them to.
Pony it up.
Yep.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the write-offs for FY '25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes unanimously as well. Next item on this action item agenda is consider approval of the FY '26 budget on first reading. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Got a
Second?
proper motion and a second. Go back to, we've heard all about it. Anybody have anything further, any other questions? Mr.
I do have a
President?
few comments about
Go
the
right
budget. A couple of key things I want to point out about the budget is, out of our 4 systems, we're asking for only a slight customer charge increase in all of our departments. There are 153 local power companies in the valley. Since the past 2 years, 152 of those have raised their electric rates. We're the only one out of the 153 that in the past 2 years are not going for an electric rate increase this year. Also, what I would like to note in this budget, if passed on this reading in next month, is that we purchase a salary survey that shows utilities at our comparison in size, either that be by customer count or revenues. If this budget passes, all of our average performing team members will make at least average or above their counterparts at other utilities. Meaning, I hope I said that properly, is our team members will not be undercompensated compared to other utilities our same size. Some of our employees will receive raises in the teens %. So I'm extremely proud to be able to do that without raising rates.
I also like to say size, there's very few systems that are all encompassing like this. There's a lot of systems that just do electric, water, that are our size, but there's very few that do water, fiber, the whole thing. And I think this is well deserved, and I'm glad to hear that our employees will be compensated at least, and I'm hearing you say above, right?
Okay. We will not have a single employee that performs average that does not make above average when compared to
There we go.
utilities our size.
That's very important. I think that's something that is well deserved. And I think it's the first time in my 8 years of being here that we've got them up to that, so I'm for it.
Good deal. All right. Any other discussion on approving the FY '26 budget on first reading? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, that passes unanimously as well. Next action item on the agenda is consider the recommendation of the President's Evaluation Committee. And the chair of that committee was
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what you got.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Dean and I met, and we first, of course, looked at the evaluation score of all the board members for our president, and he scored 4.84 out of 5 for board members, which is exceptional. So we deemed it appropriate to give a raise of 6% salary increase. That includes a 2.9 cost of living adjustment. So we're recommending that, and Ms. Dean, would you like to comment on that?
Sure. So, and this is the, basically the 6-month, review. And, so, or the 1 year after the 6-month review. And, just the comments and the opinions of the board and seeing all of the amazing things that, Mr. Potter has brought to the table, overseeing the strategic plans and implementing them, and so many changes and upgrades, and looking at policies. And we just heard that the employees are going to have be brought up to a certain standard of pay, and there were just so many items that we thought he's really come to the challenge, and we have every confidence that the next year he's gonna just keep bringing it to TUA and seeing those improvements, that we have every confidence in his leadership, so.
Were there any evaluations done from comments from the employees?
Not from this particular one, the 6-month, we had pretty
Yeah.
extensive comments from employees.
Kinda remember,
But the
because we made
culture-
an increase then
I remember
too.
the culture has improved dramatically, really, from, and that came from.
That's based on their input.
Evaluations from the employees.
I think their input's important.
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this recommendation for the president's increase, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Here-
Yeah, we gotta get a first and second.
We didn't get a second.
Uh-oh.
We get a first order.
First, I would like to get somebody to, consider on the recommendation for the president's evaluation. I need a motion to approve that.
Well, I make a motion.
Well, I
Second.
second it.
Well, thank you. Thank
Here
you.
we go.
And we've discussed it at length. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you for keeping us on
Can we-
track.
Can we ask that Ms. Hamlin be the parliamentarian?
Who is the parliamentarian?
Well, I don't know, but I think she does a great job.
Yeah, next month.
I thought about that once we got into discussion. I thought, problem procedure. Next, we'll push into committee reports. Policy committee, do y'all have anything to report at this time? Nothing with policy. Rate committee. Anything
No, sir.
with rate? President's Evaluation Committee, thank you for y'all's work and getting everything together. I think everybody turned in their evaluations in a proper amount of time. It's always good to, once we get that out, to have it back, to get it tabulated.
Ms. Hamlin was very helpful.
She cracks the whip and makes sure that we stay where we should. Also, get the proper motions and seconds and stuff. So I guess we'll push into departmental reports. Jason, you're up.
So as y'all saw earlier in the presentation, that's what we've been working on a lot here over the last few months, is the budget. We have successfully closed out our February financials, so you see those in your board packet for this month. Bad debt write-offs, I've got some numbers for that I'd like to share with y'all. So utility billing actually decreased $900 this year. The light tube write-offs decreased roughly $5,000, and miscellaneous AR decreased roughly $14,000. So we had a significant decrease compared to last year.
Any reason why?
So we had a traffic signal controller get hit,
Yeah.
and that was a big one for our miscellaneous AR last year. So we're back on track of where the items we
Is that the
can.
one down there at the school board?
Yes.
At the viaduct, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we wrote that one off last year. AMI project, we're working across all the departments. It's engineering, it's metering, it's billing, accounting office, customer service. We're all working together to get this process working, and it is working well. We've had very few hiccups with it. We went through all 5 of our billing cycles, and we have meter change outs on all of them. So it's working, and we're moving right along with that. NIC project, we are continuing training for our staff. We have started the process for our MDM. We've started the process for our data extraction for our documents that we store, all of our records that we store. So we're moving along with that. We did host last week, our NIC rep came out, 2 reps. They came out and spent Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with Jason Ray and Ricky, who was in here earlier. We had several employees, our plant warehouse guy, Tim. He came in, talked to them. So they did a lot of investigating, asking questions, and trying to understand our processes. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Who's next, Alan?
Good evening, everyone. I'll kind of be brief, but I'll give some subdivision updates on the electric side. Overall, we did add 18 new meters, had 1 new temporary and then what we call 3 resets, and that was after some repair work had been done. The Pines, the paving is mostly complete in the Pines subdivision. Equipment is set. They're setting transformers and pulling both primary and secondary conductor. Stillwater Phase 1 and 2 is both complete, and the developer is currently installing the conduit on Phase 3. Sagewood, the developer has started installing the conduit there as well, and they are roughly 50% complete. Our TDOT project up at Cedar and Wilson, electrically we're done for Phase 1, and as of today, we're 99% complete on the fiber move. There'll be a month or 2 period before Delta comes back and the other side of the bridge gets done before, Phase 2 gets started on. On the fiber side, we were plus 14 for the month of March, which puts us at a total count of 4831, which we had another really good month. Our middleware on our digital system, Innovative Systems, we had an upgrade on that. Not necessarily new features and functions, but what it did was it actually helped out in better performance and responsiveness. We did replace the airport camera that views the runways and all that, and it was more to link the feed to our TUA website, which plays through YouTube. Other than that, Eric Burton, he did complete his CPR instructor certification, so now he is certified to teach CPR to the rest of the building, which we will start the process of getting everybody certified.
Is everybody, all employees CPR certified?
They will be.
I think that's enough.
Most of our employees are now, but with having our in-house trainer now, everybody will be certified.
Can that include the board?
We can get you certified.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just restarted in the
I'd love
last
to.
2 months. I have to.
Yes.
No, it'll be, his classes kind of have to be small, be a class of 12, but we'll schedule one probably every couple of weeks, just so that we can get everybody caught up, or one a week even at that, but.
I think, obviously, the employees are the number
Sure.
one. but it would, I had one many, many years ago, and I'd be scared to death to assume that I know what to do
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
And it can happen.
Brian, how about the major items like transformers that we might need given such a, how's our supply?
Our supply is good. We have a good supply of transformers, and all the new subdivisions, that's part of the subdivision agreement that we give to the developer, and as soon as we get the money, actually, we've even been ordering the transformers before we get those agreed upon. But there is lead times on, the certain
Lead
types.
time.
Some are longer than others, but we are in really good shape, transformers.
Great.
Very good.
Anything else? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it. Dale, tell us about the water and
Sure.
wastewater.
Once you completed all these subdivisions, how many new customers do you have?
You want us to count Summerlin?
I wanna count, when we're
Summerlin's
dealing with this,
20,000.
they're always talking about, you're talking about the one, but that'll be 20 years down the road.
If they approve Summerlin, which is my understanding, going through the process this week, there will be close to 2,000 approved lots in Tullahoma.
If, minus Summerlin, how many is it?
1,000,
Wow.
close to.
Ms. Willis, tell us about our wastewater and water.
Okay, speaking of Summerlin, we have gotten easements for the sewer line extensions that's required to serve the property. Our engineering firm prepared the easements, and I sent them on to the developer, or developer's local representative. And we've heard back from 3 property owners, and so far, those 3 sounds promising that we can get the easements. With easements, you never know, they're difficult to obtain, and it just takes one property owner just to foul up everything. So, but we hopefully will be able to get the easements, and that project can move forward. I don't know their timing, but they did request that we prepare the easements, so it's moving forward.
Are those easements of property owners that are not involved in the Summerlin project?
Yes.
Leading up to the Summerlin project? Okay.
Yes, it will make sewer available to those properties. There's sewer on North Jackson Street, but the property falls as you go back off North Jackson Street on that west side. The property falls, it gets lower and lower, because, the beginnings of Rock Creek's back there. So if they build any large development, it would have to be sewered out the back. So this sewer line will make, these easements will make the sewer available to that property. Anything that they could build there, the sewer would be available.
Thank you.
As Jason mentioned earlier, there are Avoca force main and pump station projects almost complete. Contractor's been working at the pump station this week and last week. And our water wastewater personnel, with help from the electric department, installed an electric meter base for the pump station, to serve the pump station. And we did that about at the cost of $1,000. The electrical subcontractor that was going to do it was going to charge $20,000 to do the same work. So that's just a sign that, we take every penny serious of the ratepayers' money, and we're very glad that we were able to do that. Next, I want to give you an update on TVA's plans to change releases from Normandy Reservoir. For years, TVA's released water to maintain a certain level at the stream gauge in Sheffield. They had to maintain a minimum level, and it couldn't go below that. So at times, they had to release more water than they really needed to maintain that minimum level. So the new plan is to revise the flow from that minimum instantaneous flow to a weekly average flow. So they record a reading each night of a calendar week, and so the discharges would have to be much slower than they are currently. So this is a big deal, and it would save a lot of water in Normandy Reservoir. I'll give you a little history behind this. After the drought of 2007, 2008, TVA and the Duck River Agency started working with other stakeholders on a plan to optimize the releases for Normandy Reservoir. And in 2013, the Duck River Agency issued a report that recommended that they go to this weekly average instead of the instantaneous flow. So this has been a long process of getting this done. It's been over 10 years, but looks like it's going to happen. It's not binding. TVA doesn't have to do it, but we certainly hope they will. And I want to read just a few things, some key points and recommendations that came from the environmental assessment that was completed. TVA will revise its current flow target at the Shelbyville gauge, which is 28 miles downstream of the dam, from an instantaneous flow target to a weekly average flow target. And that's coupled with an instantaneous flow threshold, so they will, even any extreme drought we would have, they still discharge a certain amount. This change would help preserve water in Normandy Reservoir. Additional water in the reservoir during drought would alleviate water needs in the basin. The change would also give TVA greater flexibility to meet operational goals during normal conditions, while continuing to meet operational goals related to water quality, aquatic habitat, and water supply. The proposal would not alter TV's flood guidelines, so they'd operate in flood conditions. They would operate as they normally do. And finally, TVA determined that the optimization would not adversely affect special status species in the Duck River, which mostly are the mussels. They did a full environmental assessment, and this was the recommendation that was approved.
So TVA's approved this, they just had to put it in.
Well, they went through the entire environmental assessment process, which is a very in-depth process. And they had two alternatives. One alternative was just keep what they were doing, and the second alternative was to go change the flow to a weekly discharge. It would, keep my numbers here. If this plan had been utilized during the 2007-2008 drought, it would have meant at least 1.4 million gallons of water, additional water in Normandy Reservoir. And that's enough water, that's more water we use in a year. Some estimates are that it would have saved over 2 billion gallons of water. So it's a really big deal, and we hope TV follows through with it and put it in action.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any
Ask
other
a
questions?
question. I understand that they're gonna enlarge our water intake facility. Is that true?
They're not changing the intakes themselves, they're putting in new pumps where they can draw water from a deeper level.
Yeah, sounded good.
Do you, any idea when that, work will start?
It started, hasn't it?
The engineering is about complete. The work is is ARP money, so it is supposed to be completed by September 30th next year.
Okay.
It may not happen, but they need to get started on it.
Anything else? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Save the best for last.
Always.
All right, it has been a busy month for the team. We participated in the Tullahoma High School Career Fair with both a booth and participation in mock interviews. And our goal here was to engage with students to highlight career opportunities within the utility industry. And it was also just a great opportunity to engage with future co-op students or maybe potential employees someday. And then also just raise awareness of TUA's role within the community. We also took part in the annual Taste of Tullahoma event for the first time. So the intention of this booth here was to strengthen our relationship within the community, provide information on all of our services, and specifically promoting LightTube. Eric Burton and I completed TVA's key account training, which focused on strategies for managing and engaging with large customers, and then also ways to better leverage TVA's resources to support those key accounts.
We hosted a home energy workshop, lunch and learn with the City of Tullahoma and TVA to assist citizens with signing up for the Home Uplift program. And so we do have some good interest in that. And then looking ahead just to the rest of April, I know we've only got about a week left, but the Arbor Day celebration is set for this Friday, and TVA will be participating with the City of Tullahoma and the Tree Board, and that will be over lunch at Fraser McEwen Park. And then next week, we will be participating in Bel Air's Career Day, so we will have a bucket truck there with a couple linemen to talk to the kids about their careers and just what they do in the community. And then lastly, our drinking water day celebration is coming up, so that will be May 6th. And this year we are going to be doing that over lunch, so that will take place here on the grounds of TUA from 11:30 to 1:30. And that's all I have for today.
And we also did what today?
Oh, chamber coffee. Yes, we had a great chamber coffee. So thank you to Shannon for pulling that together. It is, as Mike said, the best, but second best buffet. I said it was the first buffet, best buffet for me. So.
Best in Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Emma, excuse me.
Yes.
The drinking water celebration, May 6th,
Yep.
11:30 until when?
1:30.
1:30.
Yep. So that'll be over lunch.
Okay.
And I'll send out reminders.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we get to have board member comments. We'll start with Mr. Miller. Do you have any? Yeah.
How many comments I have that this budget is a lot easier than the city's. And this is my first go round, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Miss Patty?
It was a lot easier, don't it?
So, yeah, and having, budgets are not an easy thing to look through and understand, but, you know, given some time and some good oversight, it really does help, and, it's just amazing how much TUA does. So, and, all the great events, Emma, you're putting together, that's terrific. And, one of the other things is, I really appreciated getting, our group together and evaluating students, for our scholarships. So I look forward to, having that, those scholarships being awarded, and I believe that's the 29th? Yeah, so, it's really incredible the impact that we're beginning to make in the community, so, that's all I have.
Thank you. JT?
A couple of things. First, I want to thank this board for approving the budget, and I want to thank all the work, thank Jason and the crew for all the work that went into it. Secondly, I want to thank the board for approving the recommendation for the president's salary. And take the time to say that, just remind everybody that this company, this organization, has went through a total upper management change in over 3 years. Total. President, all the directors, and it's amazing. That's hard for an organization to do. But it says two things. It says that the plans that were laid out for transitioning into management have been good. The other thing it says is that it takes a lot of courage on Alan's part to do what he's done in a year's time. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for, if you've ever moved up in a position, and he really moved up too. He went from, he wasn't even over the electric department. So I don't want anybody to take for granted what he's accomplished here. And I'm sure that's been taken into account by the evaluation committee. But it's amazing, and to see the results of that. I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but I had the opportunity to spend some time with him when we went to DC. One thing that I like is he's always upbeat. And being upbeat means that he takes his job in a matter of, he really enjoys it. I want to thank him and appreciate you. not only Alan, but I can say the same for Brian and for Dale and for Jason. Because not long ago, it was all different people taking on these jobs. And what I really am impressed about is really for this board, you know, we haven't heard any, haven't received any calls, haven't seen anything that's any detrimental comments, any comments about what they're doing that has made TUA take a step back. So I just wanna take that time to say and recommend that you keep going forward in the manner we've been going. You know, tonight, you know, these two new employees that came, that's part of a plan. And keeping that going, these people may be future leaders. You know, we brought in Emma, I won't hold that against it, but I'm joking, Emma. I joke a lot. But it is, it's just so good to see what's happening with this organization and really going forward even at a faster pace and a higher pace. So just thankful for all you all and what you do. And Shannon now is the person that's been here the longest in a kind of a leadership position. So just appreciate you all and appreciate this board. So that's all I have to say. Thanks
Thank
much.
you, JT.
You said a lot there, Mr. Marquette.
I did.
You did, and I'm glad you did, because it was well said. I attended the Chamber Coffee today, it was terrific. Of course, for me, the food's always very important, and it was excellent, thanks to Shannon. But seriously, that's another thing, the Chamber, how impressive they are when you attend the coffees and see how many people in our community are part of the Chamber. It really shows, to me, the kind of community we have. I want to lift up Miss Emma here because our community involvement has been enhanced greatly since she's come. We got the career fair, they've already participated in that. The coverage of softball and baseball now is coming on the scene. That's coming, and also the $25,000 in scholarships is going to be distributed April the 29th to THS students. Again, our involvement in the community is so important. And as Brian said, we netted 14. We're up to 4831. We're shooting for 5,000.
That's right.
Which is remarkable, really. Since 08, is that about right? About 08.
Sure.
That's quite an achievement by a lot of people. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you. I can't add a whole bunch more to what's already been said. I also attended the Chamber Coffee today. Very well attended. We had it in a different venue because of the weather, which I liked. Graduation is coming up. It's graduation season for kindergarten, middle school, high school, college. So, and we broadcast high school graduation, I think, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you can't attend the high school graduation, you can watch it on Live Tube. Jason, thanks for getting the budget presentation together. I know that takes a lot of wrangling, but I appreciate it, and thank you for making it user-friendly and in a different presentation. I like that better
I did too.
myself
Me too.
personally.
Absolutely.
You know, we can pick out the things that we, you know, that we think look different or something different. We can pull those out as we go, but thank you for the new way that was presented. You know, this time of year, we can have some bad weather events. I think a couple of weeks ago, we had, you know, it seemed like every 2 or 3 days we had weather events. I don't think we had much outages or anything, did we? I was thinking one night when the tornado alarm went off, I was laying in bed, I thought, do I need to get up and see if it's going, you know, so I thought, well, if it hits me, I don't think it'll kill me. I did get up, turned the TV on, I could tell it was going south, and went back to bed. And I was thankful, you know, I hope none of our crews had to go out that night, but, you know, they're prepared, they're on call, they're ready to keep our lights going if need be, and always thank you guys. If we didn't have them, we would be in a pickle. So that's all I have, and I'm gonna turn it over to our president. He's gonna have some closing comments, hopefully.
Yeah, I want to go back to safety for a second, and we have a great track record of safety here. Brian Skelton did a phenomenal job. He did a phenomenal job on our finances as well, keeping rates low, and so just thanks to Brian for that. But as you grow and as we created our strategic plan, we seen the need to step our game up, and that's why we have a safety director now. And what Eric has done, the last major item he has done is he created a safety committee, and he went to every department basically and picked someone. No one that he, for any reason, he just picked them, you know, at random basically. And I was cutting through the crew lounge the other day, and I seen this postcard, poster board. It had a bunch of pictures of it, of some wastewater work, and it was showing some safety issues. Had one flipped over, and you know, it said this next. If you flip this over, it's a graphic picture. It was showing an injury, and beside it, there was a page full of notes, very detailed. I read them. I don't know if I should have, but I did, because I didn't write them. I don't know if it's. And I thought, oh, this is all Eric's stuff. That's how well this was, how well it was done. So I brought it back to Eric's office, and he wasn't here, and I left it in there. And then I came back in a day or two later and said, I just want to be sure you got your notes and your poster. And he said, well, that was not mine. It was a guy named Josh Middleton. There's hidden gems out there. And he done a phenomenal job at being picked randomly, and he's taken ownership in that. So I'm proud of things like that. So I'm proud of the safety. Secondly, I'm very thankful for this board, and I'm gonna keep this short because I'm already struggling here. But I realized a year ago that there were a lot of risks that this board took, and that I really did too, because Brian Skelton done a good job of telling me what to prepare for. So I kind of knew what I was getting into, but I would be lying if I said I really knew what I was getting into. But what I did know, because of coming from the inside, is the team that we had. The end.
Thank you. I skipped over customer comments in general. Mayor, do you have anything? Anything come in over the internet or anything? Nothing? Anybody else? Seeing nothing else coming before this board, I call this meeting adjourned. Adjourned.